Welcome to Convo, everyone. We are getting started a minute early because we've got a lot to fit in. Also, just some reminders, since this is our first Convo for 2 weeks and our first Convo with an outside speaker, want to remind you of a few ways we do Convo here at Bethel. If you need to leave the room to use the washroom or something, please scan out. There will be scanning assistants by the doors. The doors close at 11:10, and we want to remind you that we are restricting the use of technological devices, increasing our attempts to make Convo a place of learning. It's a class after all. But we also recognize that announcements often will have QR codes to scan. So the approach we're going to take is we will understand and allow you to use your devices for about the first 10 minutes while announcements are happening, so you can scan QR codes. Or if a speaker has a need for devices, you can use them if the speaker opens that up. Thank you for this slide. I do want to make note. Can you go back to that one? We had mentioned earlier that there will be Thresher Nights where you can get more Convo points than usual. The first opportunity is coming up Friday, September 12th, so this Friday, at 7 p.m. in the chapel. The music faculty is putting on a faculty showcase recital and concert. If you show up for that event, it counts for like 2.5 music attendance events. So easy way to get some points. The chairs in the back are reserved for faculty, so you all are going to have to move. Finally, please make yourself aware of fire exits, and we take some photos during the event to help us gauge attendance, that kind of thing. Now, we have quite a few announcements, so I'm not going to introduce them all individually, but let's welcome them to the front.
Can I get the service club slide? Perfect. All right. I'm starting this. This is a new club this year. I felt like, Bethel has service day, but that's one day a year. I felt like we could be doing more as a community. So I'm starting this service club. We're going to do kind of community service events every month. If that's something that interests you, scan the QR code, join the group me. We're going to schedule probably our first meeting this week, and then we're going to have our first event in the next couple of weeks. We're going to go to the MCC Center just down the road, and we're going to help them with some cleanup and maybe put together some kits. Some other things to look forward to throughout the year. I think we're gonna have a day that might be a Bethel College Day just for the MCC meat canner. Yeah, a lot of other stuff like that. In the spring, maybe do some storm cleanup, relief work, stuff like that. So if that's something that you're passionate about, yeah, join the club.
Hi, my name is Josiah Bowler. I'm here for intramurals. Intramural pickleball is underway. It's going great. We are looking to start our next sport here in the next couple weeks. So an email will be going out to you here sometime today about different sports interest survey. So it has all the different sports that we are looking for, and also an option to add more if there's other sports not on the list that you want to do. So if you have a sport that you're interested in, that you want to do for intramurals, fill out the survey, fill it out so we can gauge what sports that everyone wants to do and the ones that we can put on. So thank you.
Can we get the theater audition slide? Thank you. So we three are conducting an audition tonight, and we're all doing a one act, and we're hoping for a lot of people to show up who've ever been interested in like theater or acting, but have never felt comfortable going to like a bigger audition. So this is very like low key, and if you just want to try it out, please show up today at 8:30. It's gonna be in the theater lab, so like around the corner over there. And we really appreciate you all showing up. And there's lots of different roles you can apply for, and so please show up. There's gonna be donuts, so yeah.
Yeah, Lily! Hi, can I get the chapel slide up, please? Other chapel slide.
So this Wednesday, join us for chapel up in the admin building at 11. We have the Parable of the Hidden Treasure and Pearl of Great Value that we'll be speaking on. So it'll be a great time. Hope to see you guys there.
Can I also get the Testimony Tuesday slide up, please? In previous years, we've done Testimony Tuesday with a campus pastor, and like last semester, we did without a campus pastor. So we decided to continue this tradition. So the 23rd is going to be on a Tuesday at Mem Grove. We're going to continue Testimony Tuesday. So, huh? Oh, Mem Grove is if you go by the Crable Science Center and like walk down that trail, it'll be like a fire pit surrounded by a bunch of stone chairs. Yeah, thank you.
Can I get that collegiate?
Thank you. Hi, my name is Mason Bolin. I'm the co-editor-in-chief of the Bethel Collegian, alongside Ava Brocksterman. I just wanted to let you guys know that our first print edition is going to be out hopefully by this Friday. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It's going to be really fun, complete redesign. So that's cool. Scan this QR code, please. Subscribe. It really helps students that are working hard on these articles. So yeah, thank you.
Can I get the register now? Awesome. Howdy, howdy. My name's Isaiah. I'm a senior here, and I'm currently interning with Loud Light. It's a nonprofit, nonpartisan advocacy organization that focuses on civic engagement. So I'm on their behalf right now, and there's an election coming up on November 4th. However, we only have a couple more weeks to register to vote, and there's a lot of people at Bethel and not many voters. So please scan the QR code or visit that link to register to vote. If you have any questions or anything like that, I'm going to be tabling outside the caf today for the next 2 hours, so cool.
Hey everybody, my name is Dulce. I just want to start off with saying thank you for everybody who came out to our College Fiesta night on Friday. We have an upcoming event on Wednesdays, the Suicide Prevention Walk at 7 p.m. on Centennial Plaza, which is between Mem Hall and the CAF. So if you guys could please show up, we're doing a collaboration with Social Work Club, and it would be nice to see everybody there. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all. As you can tell, there's a lot going on campus, so please make yourself aware of the different opportunities that are available to you. Before we get on with the rest of our presentation this morning, just want to remind you and make you aware that we'll be closing the doors here in a moment, and technology needs to be put away to give our presenter their full respect and attention. Also, if you have questions about how the points system works for Convo, please email Peter or I or convo@bethelks.edu. And that kind of goes for any general question. As a class, we're going to meet today until 11:50. So our presenter, Kylie, will give her presentation, then we'll have some time for question and answer. So just be aware that this class goes until 11:50, as typical classes do. All right. Today's Convocation features Kylie Preheim, a 2018 Bethel graduate who teaches science at Chisholm Middle School here in Newton and coaches Science Olympiad. Some of you may know Kylie, but most will be more familiar with her husband Eric, who runs our admissions teams. So we thought it would be a good opportunity to invite Eric up to introduce Kylie. Please join me in welcoming Eric to the stage.
Good morning. I'm proud to introduce my wife, Kylie. 10 years ago, she was sitting where you sit, in a convocation. After graduation, she experienced something that many of you will experience. She no longer wanted to pursue the career that she thought she wanted to when she was in college. So in typical Kylie fashion, she dove headfirst into being the best teacher for her students at Chisholm Middle School. She was nominated for a Horizon Award, which is a prestigious award for the best teachers in the state of Kansas after their first year. She revitalized the Science Olympiad program at Chisholm, taking them to state every single year. And of course, the reason that we're here today was she was awarded a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to conduct research in the Southern Ocean and visit Antarctica. Please help me welcome to the stage, Kylie Preheim.
All right. Am I on here? Oh, yep, there we go. All right. Well, let me get my computer fired back up here and we'll get going. Okay, so I know that we just talked about being present and not having devices, but if you have your computer or if you have your phone, I would ask you to go to this website that I'm going to pull right up here, because my presentation, you got to keep in mind, I'm used to presenting to middle schoolers, so I have to keep things interactive. So I'm going to pull up the join code here. Let's see. Let me get my dashboard. Nope, that's just kidding. That's not what I want. Let me get the, hold on just a second. Oh, here we go. Okay, so if you go to this website, joinpd.com, it's going to ask you to put in a code, and you may have to log in with, you can like use your personal Gmail or your school. Either one is totally fine, but you don't have to like sign up or anything. But once you get there, it's going to ask for this code. The code has a weird space in it up here, and that is a lowercase l, by the way. You've got the nice spelled out lovely pears, zanily jump broke avocados. But once you get in, it's gonna, like, you will see the presentation as I go along, and then there's also gonna be some slides where there's a question and you answer that question, or there's going to be something where you vote, or you type in an answer, or there's one where you drag and drop something, and that allows us to, it not only makes it more interactive for you all, but it also allows me to pull up your answers onto the screen, and your name is not attached, okay? It won't show your name, but we can see kind of, you know, different statistics associated with your answers here. So I'm gonna start this, but if you're like, oh crap, I'm not in yet, don't worry. If you are not in to this presentation yet, and you're still like trying to get in, when I close out of this, check it out, right up here in the corner, this code stays up the whole time that I'm presenting. So if you get kicked out for some reason, all you gotta do is go to that joinpd.com, and you should be rocking and rolling. So let me just quickly see how many. Oh my goodness, 155 students connected. That is way more than I've ever had. That's great. Okay, so we're gonna get started here. Thanks to my husband Eric for introducing me. But yes, I graduated in 2018, and back then I was Kylie Varney, and I am now Kylie Preheim, and I am gonna tell you about life on the ice. So here we go. Okay. So 2014 through 2018, I started here in 2014. I'm from Heston and graduated from there, and I came here because Bethel had a great track record of getting students into medical school, and that's what I wanted to do. So I studied biology and chemistry, and I also had a minor in art. And I also, I ran cross country in high school, so I was offered the scholarship opportunity to run here at Bethel as well. And I also kind of incidentally got involved in Student Government Association back when it was still called Student Senate. And so I got involved in that, and I stayed really involved in that, and ended up actually becoming student body president my senior year. So here's some great pics of back in the day, you know, the very like attractive running photo there. That's sarcastic. And then also me with the gavel, the Bethel College student body president gavel. And then there's me shaking John Gearing's hand as I was graduating. So yeah, it feels like not that long ago that I was here, and man, life can take you a lot of different places. So yeah, plot twist, in 2020, I was like, well, it was 2019, and I was working in the medical field. I was applying to medical school, and I realized that I hated it so much. That was not because I hadn't gotten prior exposure. I was just working full time in the medical field and realized that's not what I wanted to do anymore. So I was like, what can I do with my Bethel College, science degree? And I had heard of a few people that were a few years older than me that had done this transition to teaching program. And the transition to teaching program is really cool. I can't speak for other states, but at least in the state of Kansas, and this is something, that might be of interest to some of you, with a certain degree, like biology, chemistry, math, English, with certain degrees, if you hold a degree, even if you've never gone to an education class at Bethel, I had never done any education classes, you can apply to this program through lots of universities do it, like Emporia, Fort Hays, Pitt State, WSU, and you can basically take classes to learn how to become a teacher while you're in the classroom. So that was kind of nerve-wracking to start with, but I had heard of some students that were a few years older than me at Bethel who had done it, and I talked to them, and I was like, you know what, it's 2020, the world is kind of falling apart, let's just go for it. Let's just see what happens. So I applied to some jobs, and I ended up getting hired at Chisholm Middle School, which is here in Newton. It's over across the street from Brahms. And I've worked there for the last 6 years. So I've got some pics up there, and I ended up getting my master's degree too. It's pretty easy to roll your transition to teaching program into a master's degree. So there's me with my master's degree. And that's been my life for the last little bit. But the reason that y'all are here and that I am here is to talk about this really cool thing that I got to do last year. So I became a Polar STEAM Education Fellow, and we're going to talk about what that means, but essentially it was a program that I had to apply for. It's funded through the National Science Foundation and the United States Antarctic Program, and it's a program that brings educators and artists together with scientists that are conducting research in the polar regions, so whether that is in the north or in the south. There's a virtual option and a field option, and I'm an adrenaline junkie, and I was like, man, let's go for the field option. I'm ready to go wherever. I'm ready to go somewhere really different than Kansas for a little bit. So I applied. I had no idea that I was gonna get in. The funny thing is that when I applied, I was waiting on my husband to come pick me up one day. It was like really hot, and so we had carpooled, driven together, and I was waiting on him to come pick me up, and I was just scrolling through my email, and I found this email that it was like a newsletter, and it said something about Polar STEAM, and I was like, that sounds interesting. I mean, there's no way I'm gonna get in. Like, the people that were part of this were authors and like published scientists and like these really esteemed educators, but I was like, I got a little bit of time to kill before Eric gets here. I'm just gonna apply. I'm just gonna see what happens. And then when Eric came and picked me up, I said, hey, by the way, I might I might go to like Antarctica or something. I don't know, probably not. I'm not gonna get in, I'm sure. But yeah, lo and behold, I got in, and we had lots of conversations about how to make that work. But so this is me, obviously, in this image up here. I'm a teacher, and there was one other teacher that was on the program that I was on, and then Dr. Rebecca Robinson, she's an oceanographer that works out of the University of Rhode Island. So she was the one that we got paired with. So here's your first interactive. If you're like, oh my gosh, this is way too easy, don't worry, it gets harder, okay? But for your interactive here, you should see like a little red pin, and you're gonna show me where is Antarctica. I'm gonna give you like 30 seconds. So once this loads, we should start to see your responses pop up here. Hopefully, maybe it's not loading. There we go. Oh boy, okay. Wow, maybe it wasn't as easy as I thought it was. Okay. Good Lord, okay, we got some really outlandish responses there, but I think the majority of you got it correct at least. This region down here, this big white patch, that's Antarctica, okay? We're gonna be talking about Antarctica, and I had to ask because when I was like leaving to go do my research, a lot of people were like, is that the one in the north or the south? And I was like, you're an adult, right? You should know that. So anyways, I'm gonna move on to my next screen and show you guys exactly where we were. So yes, Antarctica is at the bottom of the world. It's the bottom of the earth, and it is a frozen continent. There is land. It's not just all ice, but a lot of what you see when you look at a map like that inset, that is mostly, a lot of that is ice that is kind of seasonal. But so I couldn't fit the whole screenshot in here, but I was, starting from Kansas, and I flew down to Punta Arenas, which is at the southern tip of Chile. And then I went on a ship across the Drake Passage, which is kind of infamous. But the Drake Passage is that little strip of water between southern South America and the Antarctic Peninsula. It's known for being extremely turbulent, really high waves, really bad weather. So I was on a ship for about 4 days going through there. And it was like a roller coaster ride. So I did kind of get my adrenaline junkie thing there. Never been on a boat before. So that was interesting. And then as I kind of talk about in the coming slides, I'm going to talk about life on the ship and things like that. And so just kind of imagine as I'm talking about that I am starting out, on the Antarctic Peninsula, and then basically our ship went from, so here's the Antarctic Peninsula right here. So we kind of like went kind of like this around like this little bit of Antarctica, and then came up to New Zealand. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we're going forward, and we'll fill in the details as we go. Okay, so here is a little question for you. What type of wildlife might you see in Antarctica? Give you like 30 seconds on this one. You should see a few options, and you can select multiple. Okay, we've got almost, that's a pretty even split between all 4 of the answers. It looks like most people said we got a lot of penguins, a lot of seals, a lot of polar bears, and some walruses. Okay, folks, newsflash, polar bears are only in the northern hemisphere, okay? There's no polar bears in Antarctica. There's no polar bears in Antarctica, okay? Yeah. I put this question up there because so many people, they were like, did you see any polar bears? They're only in the Arctic. They're only in the Arctic, so no polar bears. I did see a lot of penguins. I did see a lot of seals, but walruses also are only in the northern hemisphere. So if you said penguins and seals, you got it correct. Good job. Okay, moving on. So yeah, as I said earlier, I got on a boat, and I, being this like girl from Kansas, someone said to me, like, we're not in Kansas anymore, as we were pulling up to the Antarctic continent. So I had to take this cool pic. Okay, another interactive for you here before we get into talking about a little bit of the science I was doing. This is a question, what are we looking at here? And you should be able to just select one response if I set it up correctly. This one I told you they were going to get harder. The votes are in. It looks like we have a lot of people that voted for B, diatoms. We have a few for insects, a few for sea sponges, and a surprising amount of people for abstract sculptures. And they're kind of abstract sculptures in a way, but let's talk about what these things are, okay? So if you said diatoms, you're correct. I know some of you, nice job. Some of you attended my presentation last Thursday in the STEM seminar, and so you had a little bit of a leg up there. But diatoms are what we were studying on the ship, and diatoms are these microscopic phytoplankton with shells made of silica. And if you know silica, you know that like glass is made out of silica. It's basically like melted down silica. So these little things, they're microscopic, like they're teeny tiny. This is on a scanning electron microscope that is zoomed in an insane amount. But basically this picture right here came straight from our ship. And this was a piece of watercolor paper like for painting on, that got a little drop of seawater on it. And this was then put into a scanning electron microscope, and that is the world that is only a fraction of the world that we can't see because it's too small for us to see. But amazingly, we get to see them under really powerful microscopes. So diatoms are they're phytoplankton, so they photosynthesize, and they are the main food source for one of the kind of keystone species in the Antarctic waters, which are krill. So you can see on the diagram here that we've got a lot of things eating krill, but those krill depend on diatoms. So they're like just these little tiny guys, kind of like plankton from SpongeBob. That's like, he's technically a copepod, which is a type of zooplankton, but you can think of like plankton from SpongeBob. Basically same thing, okay? And since they photosynthesize and they're super productive, they make up about like 20% of the oxygen that we breathe. So every 5th breath you take, you can thank a diatom for, okay? So let's talk about why I was looking at diatoms. So I was paired up with this researcher that I showed you earlier, Dr. Rebecca Robinson, and she is a paleoceanographer, and so we were doing paleoceanography in biogeochemistry research. So we were working, her goal and her team's goal that I got to be a part of, we were reconstructing past ocean climates by using diatoms, so we could better understand like future trends and maybe make some predictions too. The cool thing about diatoms is they are what is known as a climate proxy. So whenever we're talking about the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, our records only go back so far. So I like this image here on this one right here. This one kind of shows like, you know, back to 1960, we can see like a steady increase, fluctuation, but a steady overall trend of increase. But, you know, before that, like we didn't have the instruments to measure carbon dioxide. So we can't just like get in a time machine and go look at what the climate was like, what the carbon dioxide concentrations were like. So we have to use what are called proxies. So we can use lots of different things as proxies. Some people are familiar with like using tree rings. So I like this image kind of shows about how far back different types of climate proxies go. Tree rings can tell us a lot about what was happening like 10,000 years ago. We can use coral reefs. Those are a popular one too. But ocean sediments is what we were looking at, because when diatoms die, and they only live for like 6 days, when they die, they sink down to the bottom of the ocean, and the climate of the ocean at that time is really well recorded within their shells. So we can use ocean sediments, and we can use cores, and we can use like free-floating sediments to help reconstruct climate. So some of you have maybe seen something like this before too. Basically, due to all of the paleoclimate research that has happened in the last, 10, 20, 30, maybe 40 years, we've been able to determine that carbon dioxide concentration is way up there. We're using the type of research that I was involved in to make those estimates using those proxies. But lots of fluctuation over the last 800,000 years. But current day way higher. And I'm sure that most of you know that is primarily anthropogenic, so human caused. But so that's kind of the science behind what I was doing. But let's talk about living on a ship, okay? Again, Kansas, born and bred, like born on a farm, like just hillbilly. I had like never been on, I had been to the ocean, but like not really. Like I hadn't spent time. I'd never really been on a boat, but I lived on a boat. I lived on this boat for 2 months, from October to December of last year, like 2024. So not even quite a year ago. But this is the RVIB Nathaniel B. Palmer, and this is currently the only icebreaker ship that is used for research by the U.S. Antarctic program. So this is a big boy of a ship, and I'm gonna show you some cool stuff about it. But let's see first, a little ship quiz, okay? I've got a diagram of the Palmer here. So which side of the ship is being shown in this diagram? This was something I didn't know when I got onto the ship, so I wanna see how much you guys know. Let's see, we got some votes for everything, but it looks like the majority of you, over half of you, got that correct. It is the starboard side. So that's the right side of the ship. So this was showing the right side of the ship. I learned lots of boat terms. Didn't know any of them going on. I was like, what is the port side? What is aft? Where's the bow? I learned all of that. I'm quite familiar with it now. But yeah, let's talk about living that ice life. I have a video to show you guys, and it doesn't play in my slideshow, but it's gonna play in a new tab. So I'm gonna click this video and play it for you guys. This is what I recorded on one of my first days on the ship. Ooh, nice stretched out there.
Pretty loud in my cabin, and then I looked out the window, and it turns out we were cutting ice. And then I came up here onto the bow to get a better look. And there's a whole freaking iceberg back there. I don't know if you can see it very well. It's right there above my head. That's a huge iceberg. So we're getting into the thick of it here. Pretty cool.
So that was, yeah, you could hear the crunching of the ice. That was very real, and I became very familiar with that sound. But this is called pancake ice because it looks like a bunch of pancakes. But it is loud to crunch through. So a few more things here. I've got this is a video too, but honestly the picture does just enough justice. We saw some great icebergs that were just the most majestic things I've ever seen, like blues and purples and lavenders and just the brightest white you've ever seen. We saw lots of seals. Seals really like to hang out on the pancake ice, so we saw, here's just one picture of a seal. I always was like, how do they get up there? Like, they're just in the ocean. Like, how are they getting up? Like, their like physiology doesn't seem like it would allow for that to happen, but they somehow do it. I brought my binoculars and was always out on the bow looking at stuff. But as far as life on the ship goes, we have, I have a picture up here that I thought was interesting because whenever you're down there, if you picture that map again, like the Antarctic map, you can imagine as we're going through a lot of time zones, and it doesn't always really track like what time zone we're in because we're so far south. So the captain just kind of decides like, hey, we're gonna say it's this time now. And so as we move through the Southern Ocean, you kind of have to stay like somewhat on track with the rest of the world, but we would just like find these notices posted that were like, okay, on November 4th at 7 o'clock, we're gonna go back 1 hour. And it was a lot to get used to at first because sometimes we would be going back 1 hour per day, sometimes it was 2 hours per day, and then it was, sometimes you'd wake up and you missed breakfast because it was, you messed up your time, and your phone doesn't, track the time like it usually does down there. Couple videos here, life on the ship. I'll quickly point out, this is like my cabin, my stateroom that I stayed in. We had really great food on the ship, but all of it had to be placed on these like anti-slip mats for obvious reasons. But I'll show you a quick video of me kind of having my little nighttime snack routine here. Another short video.
Nighttime snack, my popcorn, and it's only been, a few days on the boat, but my kind of nighttime routine that I'm settling into is crawling into my cozy little nook here with my little nighttime snack and watching like a YouTube video that I've downloaded. I can download like maybe like 1 or 2 depending on the length YouTube videos just to watch like kind of before I go to bed, maybe listen to a podcast, but I kind of crawl into bed and like watch my little show or whatever, and turn off the TV. This is the TV screen that kind of tells like where we are location wise and how much the boat is moving and stuff like that. I have a room by myself, which is really nice. I don't even have a roommate, but I have like a little desk area and my window back there, and the bathroom is over here, which I took some pictures of, but I won't show you now because it's kind of messy. And yeah, we got some little closets over here, so I have access to all the closet space and some drawers down here too, but it's very cozy, especially when you pull the curtains. They're like blackout curtains, and I've been sleeping very well.
So that's just a little taste of what my kind of nightly routine became. I ate a lot of popcorn on that ship because it was kind of a taste of home. Like there was great value popcorn, like Walmart brand popcorn. So I was really into that. Okay, this is gonna seem weird and off topic, but I promise it relates. Name as many Jake Gyllenhaal movies as you can in, I'm gonna give you like 30 seconds. your screens, so you're probably not going to be able to type anymore. I know, just for the sake of time, but let's see what we came up with here. Okay, so we've got, let me pull this up here. Where is my... Okay, I can't, it's not letting me pull it up here, but I'll just read some of what you guys responded here. I've got Spider-Man, oh, there we go. Okay, we've got Spider-Man, Brokeback Mountain, wow, a lot of Spider-Mans. Southpaw, don't know. Dated Taylor Swift at some point, not a movie, but maybe could be. October Sky, Southpaw Brothers, Roadhouse, 6-7. Yeah, I know what that is, of course. Yeah, middle school teacher, so I know what that is. Day After Tomorrow, yep, okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna be able to scroll through all of these, but, so the reason I bring that up is because it's a good time to talk about what we did when the weather was not cooperative. We couldn't always do science, like we couldn't always send our instruments into the ocean because the weather's really unpredictable. And so we didn't really mean to do this, but we started watching, we watched one Jake Gyllenhaal movie and then it became like a thing and we were like, let's see how many Jake Gyllenhaal movies we can watch. And I had never seen any of them. And I just knew about the Taylor Swift stuff, so I was kind of like, I don't know if I like him, but he's a pretty good actor. So we watched, so I was recording in my notebook, this one right here says Jake Gyllenhaal movies so far, and that was 3. We got 4. I forgot to take a picture for 5, but we watched a lot of those movies that you guys put up there. So we did a lot of movie watching when the weather was bad. A few other things we did in our downtime on the ship. So obviously, like, being out at the bow of the ship was my favorite thing. I spent as much time out there as I could, but if the waves are really bad, you obviously can't be out there because you might get thrown overboard. We had, like, someone that brought a guitar, and we would sit around and, like, just chill and, like, play games and stuff. I was there over Halloween, so most people, like, brought Halloween costumes. I took the picture because I didn't bring a Halloween costume, but we did some other little like shenanigans and just hanging out. These are our rescue suits. You have to do drills where you put these on, and it's like the hardest thing in the world to put on. That's me right back there. You feel like a lobster when you're in them, and you can't really move. But if you're in the icy Southern Ocean, then you're gonna live if you have one of these on. I can't, due to international treaty, I can't say too much about what's happening in this picture, but I wanted to just include it. I'm gonna leave it at that. But it was a leisure time activity. We had a lot of fun dressing up. It's a lot of downtime. So we had an artist on the ship. Because of the NSF wants to make science really interdisciplinary. So we had an artist on the ship, and she led us through a lot of art stuff. But I also, I studied art here at Bethel, and I'm an artist. So I included some pictures of some of the paintings that I did. We had people knitting, this girl, she just finished her PhD, and she's a diatom taxonomist. So she knitted a sweater that has diatoms on it. We had people we made zines. We made all of these recipe book zines that we sent home with everybody. Lots of good art happened on the ship, and the people on the ship. So this is a good representation of. They make these posters for every cruise that happens, and it's called a cruise, by the way. It's more of an expedition. It's not like a cruise. But this is our cruise team. So we've got the science team down here. There's me, and there's a lot of people that go into making this sort of thing happen. We got the captain. Harrison Ford was our second mate there, which was pretty cool. Just kidding. I don't know why he put his picture as Harrison Ford, but this was the science team that I worked with. You'll notice it is primarily women, which was really amazing for me, and a lot of young women. So we worked. Everyone that I worked with was incredible, but I really learned a lot from these 3 women that I worked really closely with. We also visited Antarctica, so I didn't spend much time there. We just dropped some people off in Antarctica, and we got to stay there for 3 days. And I did hike over a glacier. I did see penguins. Spoiler alert, they smell like fish poop. They smell really bad. But it was cool to see them, and we got to, hike over this glacier. We got to do some really cool stuff. I think on the next slide is the thing that a lot of people ask me about. So I'll show you this, this video here. Another short one, but a good one.
Hey, folks. These are your life choices.
There's me right there. That's me. There's me coming out of the water. Worst brain freeze I've ever had in my life, but it was worth it. And then I had to put on my my soggy boots and run through the cold. And so keep in mind this is like late spring in Antarctica. This is like almost summer here. So that was a great experience, though. I really enjoyed that. I would 10 out of 10 recommend if you ever get the chance to do a polar plunge in like the Arctic or the Antarctic. Definitely would recommend. We're gonna skip that just for time's sake, but let me talk a little bit about. Like the whole reason I did this, like the whole reason I was involved was I got to do the research and be part of the research team, which was amazing. But I was able to do this because I'm an educator. So there's a lot of opportunities for educators out there if you're willing to look for them. And I am developing curriculum based on an Arctic and Antarctic phenomenon, so based on like melting ice caps, that's designed for middle schoolers and based on my own experience. But as part of that, before I left, because I was gone for 2 months out of the school year, and luckily the program paid my school, so they weren't out any money. But the students all made these styrofoam cups. They just decorated them with Sharpies. And I took a literal suitcase full of styrofoam cups. It was like 150 styrofoam cups. And we attached them, like once we're on the ship, we attached them to one of the instruments that we use to sample seawater. And then they come back and they're like these little tiny cups. They're like this big because of the hydrostatic pressure of the ocean going all the way down. It kind of, shrinks them. So now my students from last year have these really cool keepsakes. So yeah, that's this picture of some of my wonderful colleagues that welcomed me home in December. But I'm still involved with these people sharing data. I'm going to be part of an art show, an art exhibit that's happening based on the art we created on the ship here in a couple of months, and doing speaking engagements like this. So it's been a great time, and I think we're at 11:47, so we might have a few minutes for some questions.
You've got a microphone, so if you've got a question, raise your hand.
Speak loudly. Go
Two,
for it.
mic 2.
Hello? Oh, there we go. All right. What gave you the confidence once you got accepted to just full send and go to the Antarctica? What gave you the courage and confidence to do that?
I don't think I've been asked that question, but I really like that one. So I had a lot of support from my my family. Obviously, it's a pretty big deal to be away from home for like 2 months. So my family was really supportive. My colleagues were really supportive too. And this was just something that, I don't know, like no one from Kansas has done this sort of thing. So I was like, no one really has expectations. I'm just gonna be the first, and I'm just, like you said, full send. I'm just gonna go for it. See what happens. I like that question. We maybe have time for 1 or 2 more?
Yeah, probably just one more.
How cold was it usually?
How cold was it usually?
Yeah, how cold was it usually? It was, so again, it was like late spring there. When I did the polar plunge, that was like about 0 degrees Fahrenheit. On the ship, it was typically a bit colder and windier in the Southern Ocean. So anywhere from like, I would say like +10 to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. But man, the U.S. Antarctic program really sends you with lots of stuff to bundle up with. So it was great. Thank you all so much. This has been a wonderful audience.
Hold on, we're not going yet. We're not going yet. Because of time.